morning. Well, actually, it is the afternoon now because I spent the morning just having a quiet and peaceful start to the day where I just allowed myself to get excited to write and create because it is Saturday, which means that I get to spend the day as I please, creating and writing as much as I want. Now, I want to preface this by saying that recently I have really been struggling to fit writing and creativity into my weeks simply because work has been crazy. There's been a lot of deadlines, a lot of late nights. So, a lot of the days I haven't had the time to write and create. And when I have had the time, I have felt very drained and haven't had enough energy to actually write in an intentional way. And it's been quite disheartening to experience that the past few weeks because I really enjoy this project. I'm so excited to work on it. And as much as I would like to work on it every day, it just hasn't been feasible to do so in the way that I had been previously. So I am essentially today going to be experimenting and looking for ways that I can integrate work, working on my crafts for the days that I do have lower energy. For example, this morning I did some reading, which was great because I think reading is a great way for me to get into the mindset of the craft and get excited for my own manuscript as well and my own project. And the second thing I did was go for a walk, clear my mind, and also remind myself to not put so much pressure on myself when it comes to creating. And as much as I would like to do it every day, that's just not feasible at the moment, and it's okay. One day it may be, but right now it's not. I am trying to find other ways that I can work on this craft on the days that I have low energy, because as much as I enjoy going to cafes and reading and researching for the whole day, it requires a lot of energy from myself. And if at the moment I just don't have that, I don't want it to be a situation where weeks go by and I haven't worked on my project because I haven't had huge bursts of energy. Instead, I would like to find ways that I can incorporate writing and creating in ways that don't require so much from me. So the second thing that I'm going to be experimenting with today is actually joining a writing sprint. Now, unfortunately, this won't be live just because of the time difference. I tend to not be able to join them live. So I will be watching a replay, and this specific one is about an hour and a half long, which I think writing sprints are going to become much more common for me to do simply because having a specific time block, one, it makes me feel very productive because I know that's a set time for me to work on my manuscript. Two, it means that once that time is over, if I don't have the energy, I can stop. And if I do have the energy, I can continue. And I have the choice to do either of those depending on my energy levels rather than feeling disheartened if I don't continue for hours on end. And thirdly, I just think it would be a fun way for me to incorporate throughout my week rather than just on the weekends. So what I'm going to be working on during this writing sprint is essentially the information that I learned about fantasy, about the subgenres of fantasy. I'm going to be looking at the aspects that I want to integrate into my own manuscript because recently I feel like I've kind of been brainstorming on a whim and it's not been very specific, and it's led me to go to these random places and then kind of get lost or stuck in those, whereas this feels a bit more clear in the direction that I want to move in. And so that is what I'm going to be looking at during this sprint. Hello, so I just finished the sprint and I have got quite a few thoughts. Firstly, why have I never done a writing sprint before? This was great. There were two 20-minute writing sprints within this, and I feel so productive finishing that, and I feel like I progressed much more than I thought I would have. I think I've, in the past few weeks, had the idea that I need to do really long-winded sprints or sessions, and that was the only way I was going to progress in my manuscript and work on my craft, which is the completely wrong way of looking at this, which I have proved to myself today, because I think I have progressed more today in those two 20-minute sprints than I have in the past month, simply because I think when I first started this sprint, I thought 20 minutes was going to be too short, but it actually made me focus more on the task at hand rather than being overwhelmed by all the things I still needed to research, brainstorm, and figure out. But having a 20-minute sprint meant I can focus on specific things, and that was fabulous. I will go more specifically into what I actually cleared up for myself and worked on in a few moments. I definitely think that my initial notions of needing to do really long writing sessions is what has also contributed to me feeling depleted regarding writing. But doing these sprints has got me really excited. Not only has it got me back into the project itself, but it's also made me realize that I can actually integrate this into my week more frequently, rather than it just being on the weekends or on days when I'm off from work. I can also do this in the evenings, maybe in the early mornings if I wake up early enough for that. And it's just gotten me really excited and feeling like I can fit this in more often, which is exactly what I wanted. So I will definitely be joining more writing sprints. I am a little bit sad that I don't really get to join them live just because of the time difference. So perhaps I need to look for ones that are at the same time as the UK timing. I probably just need to look more into it, and I will probably find some. Now, in terms of what I actually worked on today, so I started off with what I mentioned, which was looking at the specific themes that I want to incorporate into this novel. So I've gotten that written down. I've also written my first ideas of the premise and the pitch, which feels great. I do want to write my first draft of the blurb, but I don't think I'm going to do that until after I've written a more detailed outline. After I worked on the premise and the pitch, I also got a much clearer understanding of my main character and also a few of the side characters, which is great because I've kind of been struggling to piece them together. I've had multiple different ideas that overlap each other but don't make sense altogether. So this has really helped me clear it up in my head. I definitely need to do a lot more character development, but I'm really glad that I'm starting to clear it up and it's starting to make more sense in my own head. So that was great. And I also actually managed to start writing the 3-act structure. So essentially what I did is I have all of the beats written down, and I've written 1 to 2 sentences for each beat of the 3-act structure, which I did not expect to have done today. Of course, these will likely change and adjust as I develop my outline and as I also actually write the first draft. But to know that I have worked on all of those things today in total 40 minutes of actual working on the project is crazy to me. I did not realize I could be that productive in 40 minutes. I think this idea that I had in my head that I need to be working for much longer to make progress is ridiculous, and I've proved that to myself today, as I mentioned, and so I would definitely be incorporating this more frequently. So moving forward, I do want to ensure I have been reading more naturally just because I enjoy it, but I definitely want to read in the mornings before I start a writing sprint, or I plan on writing more that day, just because I think it really helps me get into a good mindset and enjoy the craft that much more. I have also found that the weeks that I do read, I feel more excited about my own manuscript than the weeks that I don't read, just because I think it gets me more into the mindset of the writing craft. So I've really enjoyed that. The writing sprints, as I've mentioned, really enjoyed. I do want to do them more often, and I think I will not only join writing sprints but also possibly just do my own with a shorter time limit instead of kind of giving myself hours and see how much I get done with breaks in between. So I need to be more clear with myself on the actual task that I want to complete, and I think having a shorter time sprint has really helped me do that today. And I am so impressed with how much I progressed. I'm so excited about moving forwards. I am going to continue working on this for a bit longer just because I'm kind of in the flow and I haven't had that for a while, so I want to keep it going and enjoy it. But I am going to end the video here. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe because I do make videos where I speak about my writing, my journey, and specifically more about this manuscript itself, which is my first ever manuscript. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. But other than that, I will see you in the next one. Happy writing!